muted. Hey everyone, welcome to the live stream. Just give us a few seconds, we are just checking if everything is up. Okay, looks good. I think we can start with the first questions. First, yeah, thanks for joining in. Yeah, most of the people who have backed us would have received the update announcement. It was a bit difficult to write that, but I feel that was important to share at this stage in time. I will now jump right into the questions. Okay, there are already quite a few questions posted on Reddit already, so I'm going to use that as a reference. We have put them up on the slideshow right now, so I'll go question by question. Okay, going to the first question. Okay, the first question being, when can we buy the Comet on marketplaces like Amazon and others? Okay, so right now the whole idea of Kickstarter is to get us into production. We have spent more than 3 years now to work on the R&D. We have done enough revisions. We of course need time to get to production ready. We have to get our certifications completed. We have to get our injection mold dies ready. And that is exactly what the Kickstarter is for. Our eventual goal is to obviously list it on our websites. I'm not sure if we will list it on Amazon. Maybe we'll have distributors eventually, something like how the Raspberry Pi does with their Pi boards. And obviously we will list it out on our website, so people will be able to buy on the Mecha online store. But this is something that will happen after September. Mostly by the end of the year, the last quarter is when we will list it for anybody to buy off retail. The overall idea of the Kickstarter here is that if we get X number of backers, we will scale production for more than that, so the remaining unit can start getting stocked and people can just buy it off the shelf. And yeah, that's how we can get the initial capital to go and start stocking, and then as we do more and more sales, we can increase more and more stock. Okay, so yeah, probably the straight answer to this question would be by end of this year. Okay, next question. I would like to know if it is possible to make an option to add aluminum or titanium body frame for an additional payment on Kickstarter. See, tooling is a very complicated item, and it has taken almost 2 years for us to get the mechanical design completely ready. We are still fine-tuning it before we release for production. Now, having something like aluminum increases a lot of engineering cost because you need better antenna system. Metal will end up reflecting all the signals. So if you have, we already have inbuilt Wi-Fi, and we are also going to support LTE. So if you have a body which is aluminum, then Wi-Fi and LTE signals will bounce right off. So it is doable. Obviously, all the mainstream phones do have aluminum body. But the thing is, the antenna design gets really, really complicated, and that is something too difficult for a small company or like a first product or a first generation of the hardware to achieve. Okay. Also, just to add here, these replies, we will also be summarizing them on Reddit. So you'll see short replies coming in on Reddit after the stream is done, and we'll link it to the timestamp of the video as well. Okay, if it's a Linux-based operating system, can I boot it up with my own choice of distro, and can it run games? It would be really cool to have a handheld portable gaming device which fits in our pocket and can emulate PS games. Okay, so I'll take the first part of the question. See, we are building the Mechanics OS because it puts us in a very good spot with respect to optimizing the software for the hardware that we have. Like, one of the things that we have done is we have added an extension detection system as well. So once you attach the gamepad, the UI can react accordingly. Once you attach the keyboard, the UI can also respond as a physical keyboard that's connected. Obviously, these are USB devices, so any other distro could implement it as well. But there is a lot of opportunity for us to optimize our own software on our hardware, and that's the unique point with the Mechanics OS. But in fact, we are working with other distros. One of our early pilot users is from the Plasma Mobile team. Okay, he is quite known in the Linux on mobile space. So he's already working on porting Plasma Mobile on the Comet hardware. We were at FOSDEM 2 weeks back, and we actually handed over a device to the post-market team as well. So we are happy to work closely with them. We are also talking to the Nix OS team. There are a couple of other projects that have reached out to us. As we slowly scale up on the early dev units, we'll be able to bring them also into the fold. So yes, there will be you will be able to boot up your own choice of distros as long as those distros are already ported, or you can go ahead and modify our build systems and port your choice of distro. One of the things that we are doing is we are working on the bootloader, and because we have already handed out them the units, we are working with them to ensure that running a different distro is not too difficult. We really don't want to force the Mechanics OS as the only choice of distro, right? But that is something that we wanted to build and curate a better experience on the hardware, but very happy to see more distros coming up. Okay, next part of the question. It would be really cool to have a handheld portable gaming device. Yes, it can definitely work as a gaming device, but the screen size is better for a 4:3 or like an older console devices gaming. So emulating PS games, at least the IMX 95 should be able to emulate PS1 games, but you would still want to use a larger screen while you do that. And when you use a larger screen, you could just pair up with a Bluetooth or a wired controller on the USB. Okay, this is a similar question, but we still kept it for the sake of it. I would be mainly interested in Arch Linux and Steam OS, if I may add to this question, or maybe also asking about what's the reason behind Fedora. Okay, so like I said, distros, you can port it. Arch Linux, not sure of the ARM64 support, how far it is, right? There is still a community support, it's not an official support. Steam OS, I'm completely unsure of, so I can't comment on Steam OS. But the reason for Fedora is, for the longest time we were on Debian. Debian has a more slower release cadence, right? Every stage Debian releases around 2 years. We were on Bookworm for a while, and then we even ported it to Trixie, which is Debian 13. We decided to move to Fedora because they have faster releases. And see, the thing is, Wayland on Linux is still evolving, and Linux on the phone or mobile is evolving faster than that. So, which means that we do want new fixes and updated software available in underlying stacks such as Wayland, the compositors, or even the Mesa user space GPU drivers. So Fedora has faster releases, so we can actually do a version upgrade every 6 months as they keep releasing their new packages. So that's why we went to Fedora, and Fedora also has tons of ARM packages. So when we checked the Fedora package statistics, there are almost 66,000 packages already available for ARM. Since the last 3 months, while we have been testing with Fedora, I don't think we have come to a point where we had a package that was missing in Fedora and that was available in Debian. We love Debian, obviously. I'm sure there will be a community port for Debian that will continue to exist, and we'll be happy to help support it. Can we install other OS Linux? Okay, so same question, but I wanted to introduce this because you mentioned QNX. So we have a pilot user or a company who are QNX partners. They are quite interested in porting QNX for the Comet. So yeah, maybe QNX also comes down the line. Are you affected by the RAM shortage? This is a question that hurts a bit. Okay, so obviously we were taken by a lot of shock the start of December with the RAM shortage, and for a while it was quite chaotic to figure out how to really go around it because of two problems. We were not in production, we did not have any orders, okay, and we did not already have commercial agreements with the memory makers. So one of the things that we did on a very like a priority basis is we worked out the suppliers. We were already sampling with few manufacturers, so we spoke to them and we figured out ways where we could reserve a significant amount of memories that we can run the Kickstarter campaign with. As of right now, to run the campaign, we have the memories procured for IMX 8M Plus. We are in talks to procuring the LPDDR5 for the IMX 95. And for eMMC, we have sufficient eMMCs with us. So there is really no problem. But yes, we are very careful about accepting orders that we cannot fulfill, right? Like we will be limiting the number of quantities that we make in the upcoming quarters. So right now there is no problem, but we are keeping a constant watch on this. One of the things that I was writing on Discord just earlier today is the RAM that we acquired, RAM and the eMMC that we acquired in December is already 50%, the prices of those are already 50% up. So if we had acquired the memories after the campaign, we would have been in a big soup right now. But we are in a good place right now with respect to the memories. We can easily ship these units out without any worry of shortage. In fact, they are already lying in the warehouse. We just have to pick it up. Okay, are there any other extensions that you have considered to test aside from the 3 that are available? Love the project and can't wait to get mine. Okay. So right now we have these 3 extensions, the IO breakout, the keyboard and gamepad. I feel that they are the most important ones. There are a lot of community ideas on our Discord where people want to build a DAC with, like an iPod wheel on it. Then there are ideas on making a RFID or an NFC based or something that can also do infrared communication, something similar to what the Flipper Zero does. So we do want to support these kind of projects, and we will be helping them get from zero to actually a design that can be implemented. Down the line, our goal is to make our Pogo pins available as stock across websites and our website, so that if you want to DIY your own extension, you don't necessarily have to worry about where to get the Pogo pin or just source the parts. Also, all the 3 extensions that we have are open hardware. We are going to publish all their design files, the firmware and the software. Some of it is already published. You can just check out our GitHub repositories. But yeah, see, making extensions for mass production is difficult. So if there are extensions which sufficient number of people need, then we can actually consider them for mass manufacturing. Because when you talk about mass manufacturing, we need to get their dies ready. We need to have a certain number of units that we have to manufacture within a single batch. Yeah, I think that summarizes my answer. Will the IO board be compatible with Raspberry Pi hats? Is it the same pin layout? So yeah, the pin layout on the Comet is not the same as the Raspberry Pi hat. The Raspberry Pi 40 pin layout. We do have a lot more number of IOs, like we have USB, we have ADCs, and we have a couple of special pins like the RTC or the reset pin. But the Raspberry Pi pin layout is a subset of our own layout. So our goal eventually is to also publish an IO extension board design, like a different PCB for the same extension, which is compatible with the Raspberry Pi hat. We have seen the mapping a couple of months back, I think it's 6 months back. Probably 1 or 2 GPIOs were missing. But apart from that, we were quite compatible with the Raspberry Pi 40 pin. So yeah, you can expect a design that is published on our repositories with the Pi compatible PCB for the IO extension. I'm very curious about the ability to add a cellular modem to Mecha Comet and use it as a cell phone. Will there be any sort of resources to help us do that? Okay. So yeah, there are 2 ways we are approaching the whole LTE or the cellular modem support in the Comet. We right now are designing the internal flex PCB antennas that can fit inside the Comet, so that you don't need any external antennas as such. Our goal is to make the antennas also available, so you can actually opt for an LTE upgrade kit without the modem or with the modem. So the modems that we provide will be tested and verified at our end. So then your experience of using those modems with respect to enabling drivers or their software configuration or their user space application support, for the tested ones would have been already figured out, but that doesn't stop you to bring a modem that works better for you and be able to integrate with the Comet hardware. Yeah, but I would like to address the part as a cell phone. So see, the form factor is not, I mean, it looks like a cell phone for sure, but the thing is, we don't have an earpiece speaker. You may have to use the headphone jack or the front speaker in a way as a earpiece, like you would probably do something like this. We do have microphones in the bottom, but it's not a perfect cell phone, right? So like if it's like a DIY, that's why we mention it as a DIY cell phone. It can work. We have actually got the modem working, but it may not be the perfect experience that you would want, but you can get it to work for you. I mean, if it works, it works. Okay, how is the performance with video streaming? Can the A10 Plus handle YouTube, Twitch, Netflix, Disney, etc. via web browser? Basically, could you use it as a streaming stick for TVs in addition to its other features? So, see, one of the requirements for doing casting or streaming is to have dual band Wi-Fi. So we do have dual band Wi-Fi which could manage this, and as far as I understand in Linux, Miracast exists, but I'm not entirely sure how the digital, digital content protection and other kind of things that Netflix and Disney would enable would work with our hardware. So this is something that would have to be tested. Performance wise, the A10 Plus could handle 1080p streaming, but I would recommend the 95 in this particular use case. Yeah, but both of them do have hardware video decoders which could be used for this purpose. But sadly, we do not have enough testing data with us right now to give you a very sure answer to this. But yes, we can include this as part of our upcoming testing and validation, where we can verify this and let you know on our documentation or on our Discord on how it performs. Okay, what is the status of the LTE upgrade kit regarding its availability before shipping the first units? So right now we have chosen our modems. We are working on the antenna design, like I said. The idea is that once you have backed us on Kickstarter, and in March when we activate the pledge manager, you should be able to opt for the upgrade kit. Okay, and the ones who opt for the upgrade kit will have their units already pre-assembled with the LTE antenna and the LTE modem out of the box. Yeah, regarding its availability before shipping the first unit. So yeah, and we do want to run a good amount of field testing with LTE. So as part of the early adopters units that we send across, we'll also verify LTE support across multiple regions. I just sent out an update a couple of hours back on Kickstarter. You can go check it out. It talks about LTE support a bit. Does it run Crysis? Got one on Kickstarter, very excited to arrive. I am assuming this is a sarcastic question. No, it doesn't run Crysis. If it did, we would have to put some sort of a cooling system with liquid cooling or nitrogen, and probably have a fire extinguisher somewhere if you are running Crysis on it. But yeah, thanks for backing us. What does the warranty look like, time coverage, etc.? Also, if you buy the unit with the keyboard gamepad, do they all ship together? Okay, so we will have a 1-year standard warranty which will cover any manufacturing defects. Most of our hardware design, almost entire of our hardware design is repairable. So we will be publishing detailed guides on our documentation which you could refer, and you can either opt for us sending the parts to you and you can fix them on your own. Even the display is going to be a single part that you replace. So let me quickly show it to you. So let's say this is the Comet, and if you break the display, our idea is that we will ship you the entire top frame. So the top frame, even though the display is glued to the frame, you can just replace the top frame, and that's it. Your repair is done. And replacing the top frame is just about opening up around 8 screws. So either you can do it on your own, or you can send it to us, and we'll manage the fixing for you. The keyboard, gamepad, do they ship together? Yes, they will ship together with the unit. Since it has a keyboard, can I run and made Pico 8 on it? Also, why gamepad seems to not have L and R triggers to handle GBA games? We have not tested Pico 8, but it should run fine. I'm assuming if it compiles for ARM, then that's not really an issue at all. So I can't give more details about it, but like I said, if it is available for ARM and if it runs on something like a Raspberry Pi, it should be fine. Now, the L and R trigger to handle GBA games. Okay, I don't have a gamepad nearby, but I do have a keyboard. So if you think about this, and we have thought a lot about this, how do you place an L and R trigger, right? It's difficult, right? Like either it has to be here, and the ergonomics of it would not be great. So the better compromise would be that, also considering that the screen is like a square, or it can at best do 4:3 resolution. It's better if you have an external display and you connect a USB or a Bluetooth game controller to the Comet and get your LNR triggers. And our goal with the gamepad is to also support a lot of indie games. We recently did some demos with the Flame game engine, which is based on Flutter, and we were able to run those games. And instead of pushing more towards emulation, we want to help build a more indie game ecosystem that supports the Comet or is optimized for the Comet. Any possibility of using Upstream kernel in the future? Okay, yeah, this is something that is in our list, and once we have our hardware testing list completed, we will slowly start the upstreaming process. We already tested with the mainline U-boot, the bootloader. It works fine, just the display does not come up on the mainline U-boot because the IMX DRM stack is missing on mainline. But apart from that, we were able to boot mainline U-boot. Once, probably in the couple of months, once our hardware testing is done, we will start updating our device trees for Upstream. The good part about NXP is that they already have a fairly solid mainline support. There are existing boards that are already upstreamed with, IMX 8M plus boards that are already upstreamed with the kernel. So it's not too difficult. We do have plans to make this happen. And on our documentation, you will see us mentioning more on how far has the mainline support reached. Is it possible to buy this after the Kickstarter campaign? Okay, so we are going to have late pledges enabled on the campaign, so you can still opt to buy it after the campaign. We will be collecting pre-orders for the Comet for a very long time till we cut off on the first production batch. Okay, we will have a staggered batch schedule. So right now our goal is to the first batch would be of, let's say, around 5,000 quantities. So till the point that we reach there, we will continue to enable more pre-orders for the Comet. And once, let's say, the 5,000 is completed, then we can plan for the second batch. So our procurement is already going on with respect to 5,000 quantity batch. So yes, it is possible to buy after the campaign. Initially, it will be available as late pledges, and then once our pledge manager goes live, you will be able to buy it directly on our website. Hello, is this gonna be compatible with the tiling window manager, as in a lightweight version of Hyperland, or will it use another window manager? Thank you for this project. Okay, thank you so much. You can run a tiling window manager. It can be useful when you have a larger screen connected. We have tested Sway a number of times, and Sway probably is the most stable tiling window manager. So as long as you have a popular compositor which supports Mesa, it should work fine. We have tested Wayfire, we have tested Sway, we have tested LabWC, they all seem to do well. Our goal with the Mechanics OS 2 is to do a custom window manager before we roll out the first units. But yeah, you can run a tiling window manager, and especially if you are connecting to a larger screen, it can be really handy. Will this have SIM support? So there is already a SIM tray on the top, so you can have a physical SIM support. I'm not sure if the question includes eSIM, but I will still talk about eSIM a bit. So based on the modem that we support, eSIM can be an option. So the modem that we have tested right now does not have eSIM, but we have already acquired a Cat6 version of the same modem which does have eSIM. So we still have to test it out, but if we can get it work, then yes, eSIM and physical SIM, both options can come up. Can I play indie games available on Steam on my Mecha Comet? Okay. This is a bit tricky. There have been a lot of attempts to run Steam on ARM64 devices like the Raspberry Pi, but I feel that once the Steam frame is more available and gets released, the ARM support for gaming will improve. So right now the issue is that most of the games on Steam would not be available for ARM. So then you would have to use a translation layer, something like FEX, to be able to run those ARM64 games on the Comet. Now that will come at a performance hit, so we are not sure about this. Probably I would not test this on the IMX 8M Plus right now because of the GLES driver limitation, but on the IMX 95 we can definitely give this a run. Okay, you know that the scene where Harry Potter finds right wand for himself, this feels almost like it, only missing feature deep sleep. Maybe Mecha System Comet will be it. Yeah, we do have deep sleep support that is natively enabled by the SoC, so the Comet can go to sleep and can wake up on the press of a button. We have also tested waking up with the LTE modem and the Wi-Fi modem, so the inbuilt Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. It can also wake up on the lock button press. So yeah, deep sleep is definitely exists and it works really well up till our testing that we have done till now. And once the hardware goes in deep sleep, the battery life can extend for days. Like as per our math right now, it can go up to around 7 days, but once we do a bit more testing, we can give an exact number and probably record a demo as well. Can you make a kid-friendly version? Okay. Eventually, my goal is to also have the Mecha Comet as a great entry hardware for children to learn computing or understand a bit more of how computers work, which I don't think they'll be able to do that from their tablets or their iPads or their iPhones. So eventually our goal is to have a kid version as well. Maybe it's a different version of our operating system, or we can have a different colored body altogether that is a bit kid friendly and have a better ecosystem available for kids to not only learn but also have use the Comet as a gaming tool, or they can make their own games, or they can 3D print their own extensions and do tinkering or anything that they they have any interest in. But yes, we do plan to do this down the line. But right now the focus is getting the device in the hands of all the backers, and especially people who are the kind of folks who have backed us on Kickstarter, who already are in big tech, and these are the kind of folks that can help grow the Comet ecosystem and create it more of an open platform and like a largely supported platform that even if we open doors for kids, then they already have a stable and a mature platform available that they can use and they can tinker with and learn computing. I never had something like this while I was growing up, so I would love to have a Comet that is kid friendly and something where they can be encouraged to play with or tinker with or learn with. Your project idea is really interesting, deserves backing. Thank you. As a backer, which reward tier would you be most excited for me to go for? If you are open some question and conversation, kindly follow back. It's a difficult choice. The IMX 8M Plus is a bit more efficient. The IMX 94 is a quite more performant. So it would all depend on your use case. I wrote a very detailed update comparing both, and I've mentioned in what use case would the IMX 8M Plus be better and what use case would the 95 be better. So I feel it's a very subjective choice. And like obviously I'm quite excited for the 95 because it's a new and it's an upgraded processor from NXP. There are a lot more capabilities, and I would love to test it out with and see how far I can take the hardware to. This works like an Android phone or a mini PC. Okay, hard question. I think the IMX 95 can work as a small mini PC for doing basic stuff, like nothing very hardcore that you would expect from a laptop or a desktop PC. The 8M Plus is a better portable computer. The 95 is a more powerful version of it. So yes on no in a way. Mini PCs are far more powerful with respect to their RAM and their CPU capabilities. So, but yes, using it as a portable desktop computer where you can plug into a HDMI display or connect a keyboard or mouse should be very trivial to do. Is the firmware open for modification? Okay, yeah. Everything is open source, so we are going to be publishing all the layout and the design source files for the Comet. This also, and including the mechanical files as well. In fact, if you go to our repositories right now, we have a repository called Mecha Comet HW. You can just access the repository, and we've already published the schematics of our EVT. We'll be publishing the schematics for our DVT also, and once the Comet is in production, all the files will be available. And our repositories for the firmware are already open source, so you can just go on our GitHub, look at the kernel repository, the Linux, which is a Linux repository, the U-boot repository, and we have a repository called MechaMake, which is our build system for the Mechanics OS image. And there's a repository called Mechanics GUI, which houses all the GUI components, the launcher, the apps that we are building for the Comet. Can it run Node.js? Yeah, of course it can run Node.js. It's absolutely no problem. You can just, and because this is Fedora, so you can just do sudo dnf install Node.js, or you can run the official installer. They have fairly good ARM64 support, so I don't see any reason why it cannot run Node.js. I'm guessing the RAM won't be upgradable. It would be nice if it is, though. I don't envision needing 8 GB straight away, but it would be nice to know I could if I wanted to. Considering the Comet is of this size, having an external RAM module is insanely difficult. But that said, there are ways you could probably, and because we are open source, so the schematics and the layout files will be available. So you could take the Comet to a BGA rework workshop where they are able to swap the hardware. They're able to swap the RAM chip. But what we are actually doing is, instead of swapping the RAM or any component, we are making the IMX 95 and the IMX 8M Plus board swappable. So you can swap to the higher variant in the future. Not in the future, sorry, I mean right away once we release them in September, once we start shipping them. So both the boards will be swappable in the same physical hardware. But yeah, the RAM won't be upgradable. Okay, this is a very long question. I will just go through parts of it. Why did you remove the Ethernet port? It was nice to have, especially when you mentioned network testing at the end. The USB-C can't do display over. Don't get people rather have more connectors than just two USB-C. You can make rubber plugs so it will not be exposed to the world. See, the problem with the Ethernet port is not only that it requires a lot more thickness, okay, but the challenge is Ethernet also comes with its magnetics, which occupies tons of space on the PCB. And if you've seen our PCB design on Kickstarter, or if you are on our Discord, there is really no space to accommodate an Ethernet port. I honestly would have loved an Ethernet port, but I wish Ethernet port would have got some kind of a minification treatment that USB did. Okay, USB-C cannot do display over because that's an SoC limitation. Today, the SoC has HDMI output, it does not have display port. So it would be tricky to convert it to display port and then attach it to the USB-C. Will you add a mini HDMI to standard HDMI connector to the package? Not so many people have this type of connector. Yes, so as part of the accessories, we will be listing a mini HDMI to HDMI cable or adapter. They will be inexpensive. I don't think we'll be bundling them into the box by default, but we'll be listing them down as a very low cost accessory that you can just add to your order. Sad there is no NFC or low frequency radio, because if you want to add this, you need to use the front expand pin, but this feature is better to have still with the device and it will not increase the price so much. See, we already have a lot of peripherals on the Comet, and every new peripheral that we increase, it not only increases our bill of material, it increases our test coverage, it increases our operations, it increases our supply chain, and something like NFC also increases our compliance, because once you have an NFC, you need it's not only about adding an NFC chip, you also need to accommodate a antenna for it, and to design the mechanicals to support the antenna is also tricky. And once you have an additional wireless added, it also incurs additional compliance for certification, right? Like we need to get multiple regulatory approvals for different countries. We are already doing that for Wi-Fi, and we'll be doing that for LTE. But if we add NFC, then there's an additional overhead at our end. Okay, two questions I have about the Comet. There will be a screen protector available, and will there be a web store with spare parts? Yes and yes. We will have a screen protector that you can opt for. We are also designing a protective case like a silicone protective case for the Comet, and there will be a web store that will list out the spare parts, and there will be an extensive repair guide where you can just check how to repair your Comet, and we can once we ship those spare parts to you, you can follow those guides. To be very honest, the guide would not be too extensive because we have taken a lot of care to make repairing the Comet very easy. What are chances IMX95 ships first? I think with the announcement now, both of them will ship together. We are actively designing the IMX95 boards. In fact, I had a 3-hour design call with the PCB design team today, where we were discussing about placing the LPDDR and the processor and how can we fit all of that together under the constraint that the IMX95 and the 8M Plus boards have to be swappable. So both of them will run in parallel. The IMX95 first evaluation test prototype, engineering test validation prototypes will arrive sometime April end, and considering that we have the same peripheral, our testing on the IMX95 will not have to be as extensive as the 8M Plus, because all the core peripherals will remain the same. But yes, from April end, once we receive the hardware, we'll start validating it. We'll take a couple of months, maybe 2 months to stabilize it, and then we'll go for the design validation test prototypes. In parallel, we'll finish the pre-certification and then prep it for production. Is this project real, or is it gonna disappear like other projects like CyberPro? The project is very real. I personally have given more than 3 years to this, so I am more incentivized to deliver this, because if I don't do this, then probably 3 years of my life in obsessing over designing the Comet would go completely for waste. So yes, this is happening. We have good people backing us up. The community has also accepted the hardware really well, and people are excited to get it. We have put in a lot of effort already. If you've gone through our Kickstarter campaign page, we have done 7 revisions, And we have not hurried towards starting the campaign till a point where we realized, we've come to a conclusion that this is something that we can actually deliver and we can scale production as per the interest or the demand from folks who order the Comet. In fact, we showed the Comet at CES last year in January, but we took an entire year to ensure that we get to a stage where we can actually ship this. I have personally been to China at least 3 times. A lot of our parts, they do come from China. We have met every supplier, every critical part supplier like the display, Pogo pins. We have worked with them for multiple iterations already, and we have aligned all the supply chain required to go and make larger quantities. So yeah, the project is definitely real, and I don't see there is any reason why it would disappear. Especially now where we already have a successfully funded campaign with a significant number of backers. Okay. Do you have an estimation on how much the device is going to weigh? Okay, so this one has an aluminum middle tray inside, which is very close to our final production unit. With the battery, this one weighs around 225 grams, which I think is around 8 ounces. So yeah, that's the weight. Our phones typically are either somewhere around 200 grams, so you can expect around 25 grams of additional weight. These extensions are another 20 grams of weight. So yeah, under 250 grams is what you can expect as a whole with the extensions. Is it possible to use a Wi-Fi 7 card using an M.2 key adapter? Okay. So I have not seen a Wi-Fi 7 card on the M.2 slot. I am sure it exists. As long as it is available for the B key layout, you should be fine. The B key or the M key layout. So if you have, if there's a card available of the size 2230, then on a M key, like a SSD, then you can convert it. But considering that it is Wi-Fi, I'm sure it will be using, it must be using USB as an interface, so it will probably be B key. So if you can get a B key card in the 2242 or 3042 size, then yes, it is possible to use Wi-Fi 7. Antenna is something that you would have to look at. We have made provisions for laying down antenna cables on the PCB and placing them in certain locations on the hardware. So as long as you can fit the antenna for Wi-Fi 7, I guess the Wi-Fi 7 would mean that you would need antenna that can go up to 6 gigahertz at least. So right now we have a dual band Wi-Fi support with Wi-Fi 6. So yeah, it is doable. It would require some work. I think the best way to go about it would be check our Mecha Comet HW hardware repository, where you can see the schematics and also see the mechanical files. So you can use them as a reference. Will this device be available in India or UAE? And will there be a transparent version also? Can we install AOSP? Okay, Android open source project. Okay. So yeah, the device will be available in India. We are making it in India, so no question on that. UAE, we have listed UAE as countries that we will ship to. We actually have a lot of interest from UAE. We are also talking to a couple of companies who are interested in being a local distributor for us, but that comes later. We will not be worrying about that till the end of this year. Transparent version is interesting. I want to explore it with our manufacturer as well and see how it works. So yeah, it may happen. I personally am very encouraged or motivated to see a transparent Comet. So we'll probably have some samples that are transparent. And if it works out well, maybe it can come up as an option that users can opt for in the Pledge Manager. Can we install AOSP? So we ourselves are not working on the Android AOSP support, but there is a lot of interest. We will eventually be working with projects such as Lineage to be able to port out AOSP for the hardware. We've just started talking to them, and down the line, in few months, we will be sending them few units to try it out. As such, I don't think support is a problem because the IMX 8M Plus and most of the NXP SoCs are widely supported on Android. So it is just a matter of time that there is a community supported AOSP version available for the Mecha Comet. Does the Mecha Comet have extra potential for extension if one uses the official keyboard and gets a modem extension kit? Is there still room for an add-on? Okay, this is a tricky question. So the modem extension kit refers to an M.2 modem that can be housed inside the Comet. So if you opt for the modem extension kit, you can use the keyboard. Still room for an add-on is something that I'm not clear. Are you do you mean to use two extensions at the same time? If yes, then that is an idea that has come up a number of times on Discord, and we do want to conceptualize something like a bridge extension where it allows you to extend the Comet's interface into like the add-on interface to have more than one add-on at a time, or an ability to stack them up in some way. But yeah, we have been too busy getting our current work off the plate to be able to spend any time thinking about that or come up with a design. But yeah, maybe there will be a design that comes up down the line which helps you connect more than one add-on at the same time. Any chance the Mecha will be able to support eSIM on the LTE add-on? Okay. I covered this before, but we are testing with the Quectel EM060K, which has an optional eSIM support. The modems just arrived a couple of days back, so we will get our hands on it and see how the eSIM part of it works. But yeah, this is something that has been on our list, and hopefully before we open up the LTE option on the Pledge Manager, we'll be able to give a lot more clarity on the eSIM support. How difficult would it be for you guys to adapt the IMX 8M Plus board to IMX 95? Would it involve designing the board from ground up, or you have to make like 20 to 30% changes to existing design? It is a ground up design, but the good things is that the peripherals and the power delivery system will remain the same. So a lot of the core systems are already in place. But because these are generationally different processors, the 8M Plus is part of the IMX 8 series, the IMX 95 is part of the IMX 9 series, which means that their processors are very different, their fan outs would be different, connecting. So for designing the IMX 95 board, we will have to do the layout again for all the interfaces that are available on the Comet, but physically we know where what is placed. So it is actually a challenge to keep the design the same. So it is not making it easier, it is making it difficult, but we are doing everything we can to ensure that both the boards remain swappable. So one of the things that I was discussing with the PCB design team today, if we have to accommodate for the IMX 95 design, if we have to make certain minor changes in the IMX 8M Plus design, we are open to doing that. But our goal to have both of them swappable will have to remain intact. Like, I don't think there is any going back on that goal. Okay. The Comet will be able to run programs the same way normal Debian does, correct? Yeah, I mean, we use Fedora, so we end up using DNF, but if you have Debian running or any other distro, you can just install packages and run those packages. It is exactly the same as interacting with any other Linux machine. Probably 3 or 4 years ago, the ARM support in mainstream distros was not as much as what it is today, but now ARM support is at par to x86 support. So there's a very small gap between the number of packages that are available for ARM64 and the ones that are available for x86 or AMD 64. So yeah, as long as you have a package that is available for ARM64, it runs absolutely fine. How much space is in the keyboard for a battery and a Bluetooth chip? See, every time somebody mentions putting a battery inside the keyboard, I think about certifications and shipments and stuff like that. Yeah, we could probably get away with a button cell, but I'm not sure how the charging of it would work. So it is difficult. See, the thing is, let me show it to you. The keyboard extension is this thin. So it's the main housing is around 5 mm, which means that we are constrained from keeping any components on the back side of the keyboard. There is probably space for only 0.5 mm height, which is also very difficult. And on the front, because of the keys, there is hardly any space left. In fact, we had the trackpad on the PCB and then eventually moved the trackpad as a flex PCB to make space on the base keyboard itself. So the keyboard is going to be open hardware. So if you are able to add the Bluetooth and the battery on the bottom side and have a thicker keyboard, then yes, it is doable. So the IO extension has taller Pogo pins, right? They are longer in height. So if you use these, then you can accommodate probably a battery and a Bluetooth chip on the back side of the keyboard and use this Pogo pin instead of the Pogo pin on the keyboard, because the Pogo pin on the keyboard is just 2.5 mm of height. The one on the extension is around 3.6 to 4 mm. Okay. Have you tested how GTK apps behave on the Comet, ones that adapt to mobile screen sizes? I have a hard time imagining how they would fit or look on its screen. We can share more images on how the GTK apps behave. Like we can put up demos. But we have tested with a number of apps that are available on FlatHub today, which are compatible with phones like Librem or something that supports post-market. So they seem to be working fine. We really don't see any big issues. Compared to GTK, we have tested or we have seen KD Plasma mobiles running on the Comet a lot more. And some of the apps would require some minor UI adjustment, but largely speaking, it seems to be quite usable. Is it possible that if the RAM situation is solved down the road, we get some reduction in price? Most definitely. I feel like we did everything we could in December to control the price increase. As I was saying for a previous question, that the memories that we blocked in December are already 50% up in prices. So we have done everything we could. After this, probably the AI bubble burst or these memory makers get some sanity, then we can see some reduction. We will definitely see some reduction in price. So I feel it is a matter of time, but it's hard to predict when that will happen. If it happens in this year or next year, it's not clear. So right now, we are doing the best that we can in controlling this. One of our, as part of the chaos that happened during December once the RAM prices went haywire, was like, should we delay launching the Comet, or should we wait till the prices go down? But we chose to go with whatever we have, address the figure out a way around the RAM situation, and still manage to be able to ship units in 2026. So yeah, the prices are high. We are working with suppliers very closely and trying to get the best deal that we can extend for you. But eventually, once the prices normalize, you will see changes in the prices. Will you do other color for the box, even if that implies extra cost? I don't remember if you already shared the STL for the case. The step files for the Mecha Comet's housing is already on our repositories. You can look up the Mecha Comet hardware repository. Case, if you are talking about a protective case, no, that is something that we have not released yet. We do have plans to do that. Color for the Comet is tricky because these units have to be mass manufactured, right? So we can't really have one-off colors being done. Maybe down the line, there's another question of a kid-friendly version. When we do that, we can have more color options for the Comet. Right now, we have taken a lot of care to have color options that are neutral so that our extensions can work well with the white and the black Comet both. 42 questions already. Okay, why did you go for Fedora and not say Debian? I think I covered this earlier. The only reason why we moved away from Debian is Wayland is evolving a lot, and Mesa also is seeing continuous fixes and improvements in their user space GPU drivers, especially for ARM-based processors. So if we stuck on Debian, then for 2 years, we will have to end up backporting every fix so that you have better experience at the end of the day, and we don't make you wait for 2 years to get to the latest version. Backporting can be done, but it is just a lot of work. And with Fedora, with their 6-month releases, it is the release, or the cadence at which packages are updating is way better. But there will be Debian community support, and we will be ensuring that all our packages are available on Debian. And if there are folks who will maintain Debian, then we will be giving them a helping hand. Will the screen protector you mentioned be available to be added as an add-on during the campaign, so we don't have to buy it separately after we get the Comet? Okay, yeah. The plan is to make it available as an add-on during the campaign, so you can opt for it, and it will be part of your shipment. Yeah. You should add the Pogo pins on back too. That will be cool. Where do I place the battery in that case? So between the Pogo pins and the back, you have the battery in between. So one of the things that we have done is the Pogo pin contacts are available. I mean, not Pogo pins, but the contacts are available under the battery. So if you are not using it with the battery, you can still access the contacts from the back. And the Comet actually works without battery also. In fact, this one doesn't have a battery inside right now, and I use it all the time. Does Windows ARM can run? I have not seen any support for Windows ARM on. There was something for Windows IoT on the IMX8 processors, but I don't know how well supported that is. So hard to say anything about this. Maybe somebody managed just to have Windows ARM running. But yeah, so far I would not be too confident of this or give any hope on if Windows ARM can run on it. Will the Comet have a web UI or some kind of mirror for desktop work? Okay. This is a cool requirement. Yeah, we can keep this in the roadmap later down the line. It will not be part of an initial first release, but yeah, this would be interesting. With Wayland, there is a lot of possibility to make this happen. Yeah, where the entire screen of the Comet is mirrored and it is you can interact with it. One of the things that we do want to do is to help people port more applications for the Comet. We do want to create some kind of a simulator which runs a small Wayland compositor which matches the sizes and the scaling of the Comet, and you can use it for your local development before you test with the Mecha Comet actually on the hardware. But yeah, great question. Do you show a plan on using the Comet itself when it releases, and if so, what do you plan on using it for day to day? Yeah, I'm definitely going to use it with an LTE modem. I want to use it as a sidekick computer that I can have self-hosted applications. I can install something like Tailscale or a VPN on it and use it to run few applications that I can take with me. I can self-host a photo library or use it as a file storage or a cloud storage system that I can carry in my pocket. I do want to use it for casual gaming. I can attach the gamepad and run some games. That is something that I don't enjoy on a touchscreen or mainstream phones today. Phone use case, it is interesting. I will be trying this out. So hopefully down the line in a few months when the software is a bit more mature. In fact, I will be publishing more updates on over the next coming months where how does my daily use go. But yeah, the idea is to use the Comet, and if I use it, it is better to understand where it works, where it doesn't work, and we can use that as the best kind of feedback to improve overall. And yeah, on another note, I do want to use it to learn 3D printing because that is something that I don't know yet. I do end up working with our mechanical engineers all day around, but yeah, I do want to learn how 3D printing and PCB design works. So down the line, you will end up seeing PCB design by Shoaib trying to do something out and random. Could I attach a IR blaster and make the Comet a universal remote? Yeah. See, there are tons of interfaces available on the Pogo pin. So as long as you can find a IR blaster that can work with either of these interfaces, it can be I2C, it can be SPI, it can be UART, or if you want to mount it on the, like if you don't want to bring an extension, one of the things that you could do is you could solder it on the IO extension board itself. Like you can open up the top cover and solder it here or from the rear and then attach it. So either it can be a custom extension that you build or you can use the IO breakout board for it. But yeah, it is inherently doable as long as you are able to source the spare parts. Sorry, not the spare parts, but the components for it. 49 questions. Okay. What are some of the most common use cases you envision for the device? Do you see this device contributing to the increasing adoption of Linux or making it more accessible? How? Is there any advice or guidance on how users can make most of the device if they are new to the space of tech, say tutorials or guides? So this is a very, it's a great question, and this is something that is very important to me, where I do want to see the Comet making an impact with more responsible hardware out there, where you have access to the internals, you have access to the software, and your data remains your data. So we definitely do see the Comet eventually helping increase the adoption of Linux, especially with the younger folks, where they could use it as a learning tool. With folks like us who are in tech, then we can use it as our side computer, and maybe once the platform evolves, we want the Linux portable platform to evolve first before we start talking about phones a lot, right? The benchmark or the bar for the phones is too high right now, right? So it's better if we can scale up towards portable Linux computing and then eventually hope that there is a more mainstream device out there. We may or may not be the one who makes that mainstream Linux device, but we can definitely play a hand in building the ecosystem for it. And yeah, to answer your second part of the question, once we make our documentation available, our idea is to have documentation for beginners and have a separate documentation for advanced users. So with the my entire idea of the beginner documentation would be that if you are new to Linux or if you are new to this kind of a hardware, then it's a very good starting point for you. Have tutorials, have guides, have videos, and have a very curated experience for you to be able to get up to speed. One of the things I keep imagining is that if, let's say, somebody is a computer science grad or somebody who wants to get into this field, then if they just go through the Comet documentation, the eventual Comet documentation, I feel that by the end of it, they would have a fairly strong understanding of how hardware and low-level system engineering actually works. So yeah, this is something that has been thought a lot previously, and hopefully in the coming months we will see this happen on our documentation. And there's a recent idea about setting up a wiki, so we are very we are very inclined to do things where it is also community sourced, where we give it a start and then the community also comes in and helps pitch in, put in more tutorials, put in more guides, and make it as richer of an ecosystem that for folks who are new, they still feel quite at home. Thanks for asking this question. Okay. What would you make if cost and manufacturing were irrelevant? What device do you want to see in the world? Okay, this is it's a quite philosophical question also. See, one of the things that I keep missing in the world today is how, and I don't know if hardware is the solution to it or a device is a solution to it, but one of the things that bother me a lot is that why are we not in control of any of our data? Most of the services that we end up using, they end up taking our data in exchange for providing these online cloud services and stuff like that, and how they use our data is something that we have no control of, right? And this is the part I really don't like, and I hate that the world is we are in that kind of a stage as a society where we have no choice but to rely on these platforms or services. So the kind of device that I would want to see would be like a small data center, which I know it's a very wishful thinking, but a small data center that you could have in your own house. Not a data center, but just have a small server which you could manage as a computing source, where if the kind of AI models that you see on the internet today, but something that runs on the machine and that is curated with your data and your life. And that one can also house in applications, and instead of we being the product where we are bombed with advertisements, we can instead pay for that kind of a hardware and the software that runs for it. And it's a different world where you are still in full control of your actual data, and that is something that I would like to see down the line. But yeah, on the fun side, a teleporter, is it called a teleporter? Okay, yeah, something which can just take you to any place would be really nice to have. Okay, end of 51 questions. Is there any other question? Okay, last question. Are you happy with the Kickstarter campaign? Are you hyped about the time after the first shipments? I'm definitely quite happy with the Kickstarter campaign, and especially with the memory crisis that started in December. I think we did quite well, and the part that I'm happy about is that we have the right set of backers who can actually help build the ecosystem and help the Comet expand further. So I'm more hyped towards the time now to get ready with the first set of shipments. We have to close our engineering efforts, get things to a finish line, and it has been 3 years in making. So I'm happy to enter in this stage where we are now going to talk about mass production. And I think one of the happiest part about building the Comet is that I get to talk to so many people from across the world, and living in one tiny corner, and talk to people with their use cases, their ideas, and their things that they want to do with their Comet, and the kind of community that we want to build around the Comet, where we talk about engineering, we talk about creating applications, we talk about building things in the real world, is something that I am personally very excited about. And a lot of people don't know, but one of the things that I did during my high school days is I used to have a tech forum where obviously something like Discord didn't exist back then. We used to have tech forums. I used to run a tech forum where we used to have people just talking about tech all the time. So after almost 10-12 years working in tech and in software and now in hardware, I'm going back to community building. So that is something I'm personally very hyped about and happy to see it happen today. Yeah, I think we are good. Cool. Thanks everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. And if there are more questions, we will definitely be answering them on Reddit, on Discord. If you have missed something on YouTube chat, we will be adding them there, or we can populate them on Discord as well. So thanks for joining this. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us, ask all these questions, and hopefully I have given good answers. Thank you. Thanks everyone. See you with the next one. Bye bye.